Hello everyone and welcome to this webinar. Today we're going to go over can you create a 3D model from a 2D drawing in 10 minutes or less and get accurate quantities. So without much further ado, let's begin. Some things which we'll cover in this webinar are sort of introduction. Then I'll go over creating a project, importing drawings, automating the takeoff process, and then overlaying structural and architectural just to show some of the capabilities. And finally, if you have some schedules available, let's say a door or window schedule or a room schedule, then I'll show you how we can import it. So whether that's from a CAD drawing or an Excel file, we are able to do that. Finally, creating room types, and each room types can have its own custom parameters. And finally, show the quantities we generate, and of course they can be exported to Excel as well. Okay, now creating a project. In order to create a project, we just head over to New. We give it a name, so in this instance it's a 10-minute demo. Finally, select your measurement rule type. So depending on which measurement rule you select, but this is SMM7, so all the calculations we do will be in accordance to them. So that's all the measurement rules of deduction. So we don't create an SMM7 bill. However, any calculations we do, let's say you have a wall with an opening, all the relevant deductions are made in accordance to the rules built in, and of course they can be tweaked as well, but that's for another webinar. Once your software has loaded up, we'll bring in a new drawing. I will not go over BIM as I've covered that in another webinar. So we head over to Drawing Manager, click this plus icon to add drawings, and then just select the drawings you want to import. I've selected those three and they just appear on the right hand side. Very quickly, I'm going to go over the automated process. But before I do that, let me just cover a few basics. So over here, we have our building elements. So columns, walls, beams, slab, and so on. Let's say we want to take off a column. We'd head over to column. Now we can either create this column manually, and once we create one, its attributes are shown in the attribute editor. So if you're familiar with playing video games, very similar to character properties. Next, once we've entered the building, once we've selected the building element which we're interested in, then we have this option to tell the software to pick sideline. Once you hover over it, you'll see it gives you guidance as to what to do. But if I was to just go over this, what we can do is we can select this outer layer, and by doing that, what we're able to achieve is, so we've picked this out, we've picked the outskirts of this line, and what this does is we're telling the software this outer layer represents a column. By doing that, what we can do is we can say, yes, that represents a column, and the software is able to pick up all the other columns, which it thinks are columns, and it's irrespective of its shape, and it's able to pick them up. Now, just by doing that, it's done its best to categorize the columns that are over here. So you can see it's picked up rectangular, T-shape, L, and so on. And each one of them has attributes. Now, irrespective of what you do, you have this flexibility here. Next, we'll do the same thing for the beam as well. So where is the beam? Again, I know that this green line is a beam, so just tell the software, pick side lines. That represents a beam, and just repeat the process. So as you can see, we can just continue to go to whichever building element we're interested in, and we are able to use the information to begin our takeoff. We can also try and automatically create a slab. So we can do this in a number of ways. We can either do this by CAD line, where we can say by CAD line this so we can do this by CAD line, and we can just continue to go on the outsides of this slab and do it, or we can just try and automatically identify it. If you automatically identify it, it's able to use the individual enclosed areas to put a slab in there. So now that we've done that, let's make this more relevant to fit out by bringing architectural and then creating room finishes. So to do this, let's open up an architectural drawing, such as this one. Now, because we've got this drawing over here, we can use the relocate function to just go to a reference point. So I know that this is a column, this is the same column, and I'm just going to snap into the corner and then snap into the corner over there. And by doing so, I know that they've correctly aligned. So these drawings have now been overlaid. What next? Well, I think for this drawing to make any more sense, or any sense at all, we need to get some walls in. So what better way than to go into the walls elements section and tell the software, since it's not a core wall, we'll pick masonry, and just say to the software, yeah, this line over here, that is a wall, and this is over here is a door. And you'll see alongside the doors it also picks up the windows also, and we'll just automate the process again. You see it's picked them up. What if we have doors now? It hasn't picked up any doors. What do? Very simply, head over to door or window opening. So let's just head over to door here for now. What we can do is, depending on where the labels are, we can either create one manually, and you'll see no matter where we go, the door parameters are in the attributes editor, and it can automatically just snap into place Once it snaps into place, the relevant deductions are being made, so you know that bit of wall won't be accounted for. And let's say if there's a design revision or a new type of door comes into play, then we can just change it here. But what we'll do is, in this instance, we'll bring in a door schedule. Fortunately for us, we have a door schedule available somewhere in this drawing. So let's make sense of this. So we'll use the relocate function to make this drawing slightly more legible. Just to zoom into this. So there are some of the parameters over here. So that's the design name, opening size. That's the information we need to put a door in place. So let's just extract the data from this and put it directly into the software. To do this, just head over to Element Schedule, select CAD Data, and let's select what we want. If you're happy with that, then just confirm it. So I know this is the name, that's the width and height, and it's automatically differentiated between door and the window types. So just identify. By identifying, it's put all the information inside the building element list. So now that we've done that, we can head back over to our architectural drawing. So let's find this. Yep. So now that we're back into our architectural drawing, we can go back to identify, and now we are able to automate this process by saying pick door or window label, because we'll do the takeoff using the labels as we brought them in. Yep. Now that they have been selected, let's see what we end up with. You see, we ended up with 34 door and window openings. Okay, we've got a draw. We've taken off the structural, we've taken off the architectural, and we've also brought in schedules from other sources. Let's see what we can do now. To make this relevant to fit out, I'm just going to focus on some of the fit out features, such as finishes. So finishes is a building element again. Within finishes, we can create floor finish types. Let's hide the drawing. We can create floor finishes. To create floor finishes, we can either make a horizontal one or a vertical floor finish. So let's do horizontal here. By doing this, we can give our floor finish a name, maybe C1 or CQ here. That can be code. We can define the thickness. We can define the thickness. We can change the finish position. But since it's finished top, it's fine. Another thing we can do is we can Add this information here to the name. So this can be CQ. We know it's horizontal, 15 millimeter thick. The finish is top, and so on. We can also change the color. More on this later. Actually, let's change the color to green. Now we can just simply click and point, and we can put the finish in place. Again, we can also do the same for skirting. However, instead of doing this individually, it can be quite powerful to bring in your own element schedule, or you can create a room type. Let's say you can create a room and you can say this is B1, and you can create another room. You can call it B2. B1 can have a type of floor finish. It can have skirting. It can have a wall finish, so a certain type of paint, for instance. And you can also have a ceiling finish. Now you can do the same thing for B2, where you can give B2 floor finish, give it a waterproofing if it's necessary. You can give this skirting, and you want to give it maybe no wall finish, and you just want to give it a suspended ceiling instead. Now, just to make it slightly different, I'll just change its colors. So simply by saying, oh, this is B1, this is B2, 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 B1. What you'll notice is skirting is being placed automatically. The wall finish is also being placed. Where we have a suspended ceiling, that's being accounted for differently. And let's say there's a design revision, and now for whatever reason all your B1s have a suspended ceiling. So let's just add suspended ceiling, and they say nope, all your B2s, it no longer has a suspended ceiling. You can simply just delete that in your element list, and you can just regenerate your finish entity. So select the room you want to regenerate for, so we do it for both. You can choose which building element you want it to impact. So the floor finish, water finish, or whatever. We'll select everything, the finish type. And by doing so, you'll see what we end up with. You'll see all the B1s now have a suspended ceiling, and the B2s no longer have it. So there's some of the flexibilities which we can add. But you could say to me, hey Hassan, but just by creating this model, what have we really achieved? Now this is where the magic comes in, where all the calculations which we are now doing, they conform to SMM7 measurement standards. Where you have a window opening, no finished work is over there, so wherever it's not relevant, it's not being added. And I'll just show you the quantities we've generated from this. So if you view quantity, let's say view quantity by category, do OK. You'll see we have our building elements up top. So columns, walls, doors, beam, slab, everything else. However, what we're interested in here is room type. Right now, this is based on floor first, then the name, and then the other measurements. But we can change this to say, I don't really care about which floor it's on. I just want to know how, I just want to prioritize the name. So you can just move it up in terms of priority. Select OK. So I know B1, this is the area of finish to floor. Area of finish, this is the length of finish to skirting, area of finish to skirting, and so on. We can also see the subtotals. Where is it? Yep. So we can also see subtotals. If, for instance, you want to see a further breakdown, we can do that also. So again, we can go into this and we can just add or remove certain categories or classifications. And of course, we can reverse check our model as well, so we can go directly to the model and see where the quantities are coming from. I believe I've run over 10 minutes, so I'll call it an end here. If you take my, I would say, although I've run over 10 minutes, I've taken this very slowly to explain a lot of the features. Let me know, comment below, or get in touch if you think you can still quantify your MEP, not your MEP, if you can get quantities from a 2D to 3D, if you can create a 3D model in 10 minutes or less. If you can't, don't worry about it. It's the quality that matters, and yeah, hope you found this useful. Thank you. Bye.